You grew up with that stuff, right? You're a teenager watching. I know a lot of people talk to me about Infinity War and stuff. These are the worst movies of all time, by the way. And I'm a super American kind of guy. You know, my blood is American. Everything about me is America. I don't even think of other countries. I don't give a fuck about them. I only care for the most evolved because I am the most evolved. So I walk with the evolved. And, you know, that's cruel to say to billions of people on earth that it's like, dude, Zherka, you should love these, what Scorsese calls them, theme park movies. You should love these theme park movies. Like Marvel. Marvel's so American. It's got Captain America. And it's really not. Marvel is it makes people weak. And if you don't know what I mean by this, is okay, look at the generation that grew up on Marvel. You guys make fun of them for being the American generation of all time. You know, we all look up towards Zoomers because they're gonna inherit this AI legacy. But in reality, we make fun of Zoomers the most. Like as much as we make fun of millennials for being cringe, right? And by I mean very almost introverted in a weird way, especially compared to the boomers. It seems like every generation's like locking themselves up more in their room, in their ego consciousness, like I talk about, right? The soul examination that I try and drill in your head. So every day of your life, you go, oh, wow, reality is fun. Zerka's right. I am entering higher levels of loneliness because of ego consciousness. It's not a horrible thing. He's right. The soul is evolving this way. Of course I'm right. But yeah, if you look at these generation that grew up with Infinity War and Avengers, I guess I am with I think I was in grade 10 when the first Avengers movie came out. In Metalworks, I heard about it, Mr. Keneally's class, and I just remember thinking like, oh, this is the best cinema has to offer. But man, was I fucking wrong? Because I think 2013 Wolf of Wall Street came out. Maybe I'm wrong. 2012, 2013. And that movie blew me away. Scorsese flick, like true American movie, like the most American film. Well, maybe it was about the '80s and Jordan Belfort and Wolf of Wall Street and all that. It was about all that, but there was so much more to it. It was like pointing to the future with the Quaaludes and the drug culture and what it's going to evolve to with the into the Adderall culture, where people stop the painkillers to become more efficient machines and the coke and all that. So to me, the most American movie of all time is like Wolf of Wall Street for the newer ones. I consider that like a new movie, believe it or not, because nothing really came out after that. To me, that's an American legendary flick, right? Where when you watch it, you just know not only did all of it happen like they said it did, it was less extreme than the real version, right? Than the book, than whatever. And I remember being so innocent, so pure first watching that movie. And I never said this on a call or podcast or anything, but I should have, because I'm like, that movie had such a huge impact. There's a lot of memes that liberal women and feminists would say, oh, he's a red flag if he enjoyed the Wolf of Wall Street movie. And it's like, dude, that movie shaped my mind. It was like, everything I watched in that movie, it was with me and my like 8 of my buddies in a rec room. We watched it at my buddy's rec room. And we're not like the cool kids, but we were watching the cool kids in the movie, in The Wolf of Wall Street. They got the money, the toys, all that. And I remember that movie, just my pupils were dilated. Like my eyes were ripping out of my skull compared to my buddies. I was the only one hyper fixated on this movie where the American spirit is pushing through the television right into my soul, where everything that I never experienced, I didn't even get 1% of it. Or maybe my buddies got 5% of it or whatever, partying and stuff, but I didn't get any of it. I was very just into my own gaming world. And I had a I had a bad boy streak that was coming on me, but I'd suppress it. And so when I watched this movie activated evils in me. Now that I look back, I don't know about evil. I took it to the evil realm, but it activated something in my soul. It was so fucking powerful. Like Scorsese's so good at doing whatever the fuck he does. Like all of his movies are so good. And that led me to become like this John fucking Zerka type. What is that? It feels so foreign. Like people want to say, oh, that's the real me. That's the dude. That thing has wings. That thing flew out of my heart. That thing was so awesome that I forgot who I was for a bit. I'm like, whoa. And it's also a part of me, whatever that is. and it's linked to this American energy. So every tweet I ever make, even when I critique the US, it's always going to be from an angle of supporting the US because my whole destiny is shaped with this country. I'm going to die with this country. This country made, not only did it do all of this for me, it then like the nails on the coffin is that I go to US for a week, and then international level dreams are coming true for me, and in a way where you could see on my face with the shades on that I knew this is coming to me. I knew that I'm never working a day in my life again. I'm doing other things with my life. You guys have to work. You are not the Americans. You are Americans on passport, on citizenship, but you are not an American in the fact that you're a rock star. You don't own a shotgun, a big house, and nothing. You don't own your own fucking car. You're poor. You're broke. There's nothing American about you, right? What do they say? Like 1 in 5 Americans is a millionaire or whatever they say. You're nothing. You're none of that. And I only count the successful ones, really, because a low level American, I will never count a low level incarnation. It's like, bro, if you're unsuccessful and your incarnation is to be successful, no wonder you have a fucking neurotic problems and you hate your fucking life. It's like you have all the tools and energy to do it. You're in the right place to do it and you don't do it. I walk around in LA and I go, why is everyone such a fucking broke loser? I've been here for a week. Like this shit's easy. This shit is easy because people are like, well, Zherka, you suffered so much. So how do you give it to the US? All that suffering had to be transmuted. And I'm like, the reason I don't talk about my suffering is who the fuck hasn't? You think those guys at the fucking LA Fitness and that fucking club out there and everyone on the street, you think Zherka's the only one who suffered, therefore he goes up? Are you? Everyone in this call has suffered. You're not supposed to calculate suffering like, well, actually, Zherka suffered the most. That's why he went up, which is probably true, right? There's a lot of you guys who just play frisbee at the park, don't suffer much, never pop off in life. You're never successful in life. And it's like, yeah, you're having fun. How the fuck are you gonna be successful if you're having fun? You haven't transmuted any pain. A lot of that doesn't happen. Then there's other people like Tommy Innit and Minecraft guys who make millions and millions of dollars and are depressed in their room playing Minecraft. That's like a much worse prison. So you should never see it this way or that way. But to think Zherka is not going to tweet about the US in a positive way is fucking lunacy. And it's so hard to tweet in a positive way. I mean, it's easy, it comes out of me, but it's so tough to speak the way I speak on calls or spaces because I don't want to confuse someone. I don't want your souls being, you might have zero American energy to you, right? And remember, there's guys in Afghanistan who are just love everything about America. They know a lot about it. They're on YouTube too. So I'm not saying that you have to be from there. I'm saying this is a spirit you're linked to. And if you're linked to this spirit, then chances are you're like me. You see Trump fucking lasering Iran out the fucking sky. And I'm not talking about easily. I'm talking about so ferociously, so much more powerful than what anyone else expected. More powerful than I think the military expected. I mean, this is it unless there was nukes, it couldn't have gone better. And I'm talking about like this is no Bush. This is a Trump presidency. And it seems like Trump, the only way he wants to get this done, start off this World War III is if he gets the first perfect blitzkrieg. And I'm talking about not only is this a perfect big blitzkrieg, but even Hitler would say this is better than his. Why? I would never, ever go against the chancellor. But why am I saying that? Is because in the age of this level technology, there's no way it should have been that fucking easy. And when I say that Muslims, no matter where they're from, are at a lower level of consciousness. Doesn't mean they're worth less. Doesn't mean their soul is worth less to God. It means they don't have the fucking technology to fight Atlantis. The shit that I've been telling you about for years. I've been telling you, US is Atlantis. It's being revived slowly. And I'm telling you, US could fucking rocket Russia, China, Iran at the same time and they'd win easily. Easily win. I've been saying this for 7 years. No one believed me. And I didn't even want to be right. I don't want to see this shit on TV, right? No way. If you support the Christian mysteries, you are anti-war no matter what. But man, was I right, then you guys wrong. Haas is a fucking idiot. I talked to Haas. He was so embarrassed. He was so embarrassed in the DMs. I felt bad for him. It was like I was bullying him. I was like giving him advice to live too. I was like, enough the tanky cope, the delusions. You saw what happened. Russia didn't step in. They're cowards. China didn't do shit. I'm not a hater of other people, but man, did those fucking tankies lie to everyone. They kept lying and gassing. Zherka, what do you know? You barely pay attention to this stuff. And I'm like, I know technology. You're never going to touch the white man. Not you Asiatic whites like Putin with your weird looking faces. You will never touch the white man. You will never get close to the white man. The white man is leading the world into the future. Your people are pushing it to the past. And yes, the red pill guy who shits on women wants women to be liberated and free. They want to put women in burqas and don't want to evolve. Well, it's in your scripture and it's in your and all the whole church talks about the evolution of consciousness. You fucking idiot. They don't stay in the past. They talk to any of the popes. You fucking monkey. The fuck are you talking about? Now, am I a war hawk that I wanted Iran to get fucking hit? Fuck no. I'm anti-war because I know what that does to my soul. I know, I've known since a child. I even before I knew, I had a feeling. I had a feeling that hey, your thoughts are not in private. They're joining the world thoughts. They're getting mixed up there. You know, you want to be responsible for your thought forms. I always knew since a child. But let me start this space off by saying I feel bad for you fucking tankies that went to Haas and Jackson Hinkle. And you guys were like, well, Zerko, we love you, but we can't stay with you because you're too what? I'm too right. You guys turned out to be the greatest gaslighting idiots on the. You guys told us Russia and China would get involved. They did nothing, and that was an irregular attack. That is worse than a hot war. There's nothing worse you could have done to a nation, bro. When I say the world is not ready for Atlantis, the Atlantean powers, America. I've been saying this for 7 years that the US can beef the world and win. And people are like, you're saying that as a NATO fanboy. You're saying it. No, I'm not. And I'm not a NATO fanboy. I call Europe all the time. Right? As far as I'm concerned, NATO is the US. I don't look at fucking, you think I give a fuck about France and Italy? Are you not just this incarnation that's always been pro Atlantis and Atlantean powers, man? I'm telling you right now, you cannot be a civilization of higher consciousness, believe it or not, which is the American. That's why they have the freedom impulse. Do you think they're going to sit around and let you kill motorcycle riding women just because they didn't wear a hijab? Did you really think Iran's going to get away with that regime forever? And this does sound like Jew dog language because we know Israel pushed US to do this, but there's something that Nick doesn't know. There's something that none of you knows is that there's also a freedom impulse to evolve. It's not just the Jews. Yes, the Jews they got their fingers in all this, and you don't want to go to another Middle Eastern Jew war. Yeah, you want to be against all this, especially on Twitter, where you're making a big impact, right? Like, retweet, all that. But you got to remember that even if Israel didn't exist, you, humans cannot remain at lower levels of consciousness for too long. For example, Iranian women cannot be suppressed for that long until a higher level consciousness, a higher level soul like the white man says that's enough. And it doesn't sound like the white man is doing it for the women at all. It sounds like it's imperialism, but behind the impulses, behind the spirituality that corresponds with all this, behind all that are impulses of freedom where the women are saying we want to be free and telepathically the rest of the world joins in. Now, does that mean Israel is not fucking bloodthirsty? Oh, dude, they are. They are very bloodthirsty. They are doing it all for the wrong reasons. But let me tell you, even if they weren't involved, this would have happened. Oh, yeah, it just would have happened maybe 30 years from now. They're making it, they're forcing the US's hand. This is the most evil shit you can do. Right? A lot of people are saying, oh, it's because the Epstein files. It's not because of the Epstein files, you fucking monkeys. They've been, General Wesley Clark was talking about this like 20 fucking years. They've been talking about this forever. This is the final country, too. And so we've been just waiting this. We've been waiting for it. And when I pointed to you guys and said, hey, Netanyahu is evil, this is what's going to happen. The reason I knew this would happen under the Trump presidency is because Trump is the Jew dog. He is not he's not a little bit of a Zionist. He's trying to beat his predecessors. It's like who can suck off Israel the hardest, right? So yeah, Nick was 100% correct by not voting for Trump. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, it's going to look stupid. It's going to look stupid. But would it look? If Netanyahu gets away with murdering all those children in Palestine, there's no way that could happen, right? There's no way because this is the first time it was digitally broadcasted to the world that that accurately. So I was banking on there's too much pressure for Trump to do this. It might be a president after Trump. Boy, was I wrong. Holy shit, his first year and he rockets the fuck out of the last puzzle piece. And I remember thinking to myself, like, damn, that stings. Because remember, we put him in power. It's a part of our karmic stream, even though he came into power saying, what did he keep saying to us? No new wars. I will be a peacetime president. There will not be a new war. So not only did Trump snake the fuck out of us, he snaked us so quickly, so bold faced that you don't realize what you and your loved ones have to suffer through. And the suffering part, as bad as it is, there's more to it. How much your soul is going to be delayed on evolution now. Yes, one man takes the whole people's will and then he, forces his own. And, because you guys all voted, we all vote, we're all pro Trump. He forces us, down that spiral. And, a lot of you guys are DMing me saying, okay, in the esoteric, explain how do I get out of this? And it's like, you don't. You don't. Bad things are going to start happening to you, very bad things. And it's not something you can get out of. You can't, if there was a magic trick, if there was a ritual, I would tell you there's nothing you can do. There's no one you can pray to because you voted him in, just like I voted him in. I said, hey, this is the no wartime president. We're not going to trust these Democrats. They're just as fucking bloodthirsty as the neocons. At least Trump stood up to the neocons during the election. It's a promising thing there. And no, who the fuck would have guessed? Nick is so smart for this that he said, no, I'm going to go with the fact that, Trump's a lot more bold than you think. And that instinct, remember, you could say, oh, Nick just got it right because stop coping. He got it right while weighing the options of, wait a minute, Netanyahu, who murdered all those children on camera, is going to get away with a World War III. And he's getting away with it. It's mind blowing that everyone just forgot, like everyone on Twitter. And even my language is so fucking anti these primitive goat fuckers, right? I don't support that at all. I don't want that linked to me at all. But man, look at the support. First of all, it's a confused subject because Iranians on the street are dancing. Anyone who tells you they're not is a fucking monkey. Don't you have Persian friends? They're dancing on the streets of every city on earth, not just Iran. And they're doing it without their hijabs. And if you've ever spoken to Persian people, I've met a lot, they cannot stand Islam. And when I say all this bloodshed has to do with Islam, it's not just Trump. I'm correct. It has a lot to do with this primitive, backwards culture where it's like, dude, if you're not evolving for 60 years, what are you doing? Even a bloodthirsty Israel can party with, okay? If your country can party with the gays, right? If it welcomes the gays, like, hey, then it's more evolved, period, point blank. I don't care what you say. I don't care what well, Zherka, but you're anti-Jew and blah, blah, blah. I'm giving it to you from a Christian perspective, it is about evolution. That's why time marches forward, right? You have to see the whole picture. You can't just say, oh, Jew this, Jew that. The Jews made me do this. First of all, as much as you want to blame the Jews, it's also the regime that is primitive. Okay? Consciousness will not keep evolving unless everyone's going up together. That's why you feel a need to liberate piece of shit regimes. That's why even if Israel and Jews didn't exist and they didn't force us into this karmic stream, which is evil, I don't know, they think they rule the world. The Goyim can just get forced into disgusting karmas. It is evil what they're doing. But even if they didn't exist, that regime wouldn't have stayed. I guarantee you. It might have took 20 more years. It might have took whatever. It would have been a different thing. But this is just basically spirits move through the air and drive impulses to larger nations to move into weaker ones to get them to evolve. And this is how bloodshed is spilled because nobody wants to evolve. They want to protect their own land. And can you just walk in there and make everyone evolve? No. Bloodshed is that's how it works. Like humans will always fight for their own land. So it's not like not a perfect system. And even in genius Atlantean times, there's the Atlantean disaster. Like even in the genius times, people can fall off and they're more spiritually inclined, way more like metaphysical superpowers back then, and they still brought the great flood. So imagine these fucking monkeys. And I'm just here to remind you guys that it's like just because you're being forced by Jew dogs and Trump to go down this karmic rabbit hole doesn't mean you have to go as down as everyone else. Though there's some people who are going to be pulled all the way down, and I don't recommend that. Um, and remember, all world wars is a bunch of unconscious people being, given, their intellect is absorbed by the leader, and then he tells them go fight here, and unconscious people kill unconscious people, and there's nothing you can do about it. Actually, you'll be activated as an unconscious soul too, and you'll be activated in the negative direction, and you will do what they say, and some of you might even fucking die. Who knows how crazy it gets. But this is the part where you actually fight for more consciousness. This is the part where you say, I'm going to use my Twitter, use my platform, use everything to be anti war as the first posture. Everything else will make sense after I am fulfilling the Christian mysteries. There are very few times in history you can be anti war, right? I mean, you're given a huge chance right now. And a lot of you guys are like, and it's like, bro, I'm with you. I get it that they're primitive. But in 10 years, you don't want to be those, like those guys who are like, here's $10,000. I need to talk to you. My life is this. And I'm like, bro, I'm not here to listen to your fucking karmic garbage for the last 10 years of what happened to you. I don't give a fuck about how much money. You think I'm going to link to that for some money? All right. I don't want these kind of emails. Just protect your own soul and protect your family souls. Be anti war. You could be pro America and anti war very easily, like me. Should you fall for the trap that Sneeko and all these guys are like giving you the truth? These people want you out of power. There's the Islamic truth. Okay, not to turn any of you into Zionists, but look, just because you're going to be anti-war doesn't mean you have to join and their jihad. Those people are unconscious too. They're gonna try and pull you in that way. And this is how it works, right? So always have your own side. Your side is not with me. It's not with Nick. It's with the Christ. What does the Christ want you to do? Do you notice how me and Nick are anti-war, right? You notice how Myron is anti-war. The free speech channels who believe in the freedom impulse are anti-war. Put the fucking pieces together. If there's a couple free speech channels, there's a couple of them. You could say Sneako's a free speech channel because he spoke about the Jews. Oh wow, we got him to speak about but he's actually an Islamic channel, right? And Zerka's not promoting a Christian whatever, right? I'm saying look into your heart. It'll be very easy to decide there. Go inward and realize you don't want to be stripped of your soul freedom. Your soul says no to war. So just remember that's your posture throughout any of these. And there are wars that you have to fight. If they come to your fucking doorstep, that's a different thing. This is not that thing. And what else did I want to add? Right. So tankies, everyone was wrong, right? Everyone you trusted was wrong. I was right. Even though that fucking Albert Pike quote, they say it's a fake letter, but I was right too. I still put it. I think it's 2018 I first said it. In 2023, I really hammered it in that the final war will be against the Zionists. And, I mean, Wesley Clark could have told you this, and everyone knew this. This is coming. Now, what else do you do after you're anti-war? Once your posture is anti-war, what do you do? there's nothing you can do, right? Then everything unfolds how it unfolds, and you must remain conscious around your buddies where everyone's arguing like a chicken with their heads cut off, and you're smiling and you're calm because yes, you can smile in times of war. You can watch the unconscious chickens with their heads cut off running around, and you just have to understand that there's an individual power to consciousness. Focus on that power and make sure you remain, just put in your head that politics is jester. You remain who you are throughout this, and you'll see much evolution. You'll see huge steps in consciousness where, hey, wait a minute, I didn't get sucked up into the, like, it's really easy to get sucked up into the memes. The memes are awesome. They make US look like badass as fuck, right? But the memes, you got to remember, are generated not by humans, but by spirits and mischievous things in the ether, in the air. They're not your ideas. So you got to remember, like, yeah, you can play with it and stuff like that, but make sure you have a strong anti-war posture. You don't want to be remembered as 10 years from now that was pro-war, and then something horrific happens to you and you become the thing Zherka channel reacts to. And I go, oh, look at this. A lot of people are like, well, how do you keep predicting karmas? I'm like, I'm not predicting karmas. I'm telling you how they get balanced out. And you'll see a gold medalist win gold and then they lose their grandmother. And it's such, I'm giving you a theme of how the world unfolds, how your life will unfold. And you have to keep going back to the middle of the Christ force in everything you do. This is something that has to be repeated and whipped into you. And without listening to my spaces, you should just know, if you get emotional and go, I'm on this team, I'm on that team, it's like, no, you're on team Christ, okay? The Christ force in the middle, not the upwards Christ force where these Christians just pray to the sky and hope something happens. The inward force that it's like the effort you have in your inward activity is what shows in the world. And your inward activity should be peaceful, right? And it's really hard because, like, right before all this happened, I really went off on these Muslims because I can't stand them. They're anti freedom, they're anti everything. A lot of these people are deeply unconscious. Does that mean I'm getting dog walked? No. You got to remember that bloodthirsty look in the eye of the Muslim is within the eye of the Jewish man as well. Make no mistake about that. They want to kill each other. Neither of them are peaceful. They want to bring the Christians to their death, both of them. Okay, it's in their fucking books. And remember, Christians listening, there is no reason you should let memes dictate your karmic outcome, right? There is no reason you should be a war channel or any of these. And a lot of you guys message me later and say, dude, you really saved my ass here. Dude, I'm retired. This is not my job to fucking go on spaces, interrupt my life to do this for you guys. This is really not my job. And I can't even do it for you. It's inward activity. It has to come from within you. Now, with that being said, was it badass that US could do this? I've been saying to these stupid fucking tankies how powerful the US actually is. It's a technology game. China could build as many LED towers as they want. Their technology, Russia's technology, Iran's technology is not up to par with Atlantean technology. It never will be for the next 250 years. The only time we'll ever see maybe a close in the gap will be when all of that energy in China and all those resources start getting dominated by the white man that is in Russia, if you want to consider them white. I guess they're by DNA white, but not exactly what we consider white. And so it's like, yeah, and in 250 years, you can see Russians carrying the impulse with all that Chinese tech around them. But that's a long time away, bro. And yes, the top dog is usually doing it to evolve consciousness. That's how it works. Um, can I say whether it's a good or a bad thing? No, you're not supposed to make moral judgments. The only safe thing you can do in navigating the cosmos is be anti-war, right? Just like every time something pops off, we go on spaces, we go on streams, and we say, "Oh, Zherka's anti-war. He's a war channel that's anti-war. What the fuck? He's all for it, the war of the soul and everything you're supposed to do as a man. But when it comes to political wars, Zionist wars, this is a Zionist war. He will stop you in your tracks there. And I think within less than a couple months, you'll see why. And you're gonna be like, "Well, I'm so glad that I didn't get infatuated by memes too hard." Because you remember, money, women, good looks, tall, 6'5". You want all that good energy. All the shit that I have comes from strong karma because I'm not a fucking sap. When I was 8 years old, I didn't fall for this shit. Like, you like Bush? Do you like this? I was always inclined to like Bush, the American energy, but I always knew, I'm like, no, 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 no. You cannot be a wartime president. And I fuck with that. You just can't, unless we're talking about in history, black and white history. But in a living time right now, in reality, no way. And so I just wanted to put that in you guys' heads because a lot of you guys are like Team Iran, Team US. And it's like, first of all, if you're going to pick a team, just know that it comes with consequences, especially if you're posting and stuff like that. And I don't want that for my followers. I could see like political channels getting the horrific karma, and it's like, yeah, you deserved it. Your political channels. But my channel is a spiritual channel, so it's all about me getting you guys smiling around women, doing hard things, leveling up, and prepare for the stars. Like the more important things. Um, like a lot of you guys get really confused with their. I get these questions about reincarnation. Never think of reincarnation, you fucking idiot. Just think of it as one life, because that 500-year period, the dream life you're gonna have that you go into, the heaven or hell state, that's next. It's not reincarnation that's next. When you sort all that, then you can have more. But until then, this is gonna feel like infinite to you. It is one life. Just focus it like that. Actually, you should really see it as one day at a time, right? Master the day. Don't get your mind hijacked. Don't go unconscious because of the news or the memes or the people you follow. Have strong discernment and judgment. Be like, why are the only freedom channels, Myron, Nick, and Zherka? Why are these vicious guys, very red guys? Why are these guys anti-war and everyone else is pro-war on all sides? And then you'll quickly realize, oh shit, there's a moral core to these degenerate type channels, like these people who shit on women and stuff like that. There's a moral core to these guys. There's more than just what the personality we see, the memes. There's something deeper, that these are more mature souls. Now, why can't I say this about someone like Sneeko? It's not that I hate Sneeko, it's that he is pro-war. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, he's talking like a fucking Houthi crazy motherfucker. He talks like a radical. That Myron and Nick and Zherka, no matter how crazy they get, they don't talk like that. There's a reason for that. Is Sneeko does not have a moral core to him, right? If the shoe was on the other foot and Muslims were winning, he would stomp you the fuck out, right? He would stomp out the white people. You could see it in his eyes that something happened to that kid. Something a long time ago racially happened to him. And I don't think it happened to Jared Taylor. I don't think it happened to Nick. I don't think it happened to Myron. I don't think it happened to me. I think we have other traumas, right? I think we have other wounds, but we don't have this racial superiority complex that Sneeko has. So be careful with that, especially if you're a Sneeko viewer and he's dragging you into perpetual thoughts of I hate this guy, I hate that guy. You got to be careful with that, right? You should be able to smile at the Ayatollah as much as you smile at Trump, both sides, because you answer the Christ. You don't answer to Trump. You don't answer these people that, bro, these guys have so much aura. Trump and his team is like fucking badass as fuck, but they're degenerating your soul. So it's like, yeah, this is the time where you say, hey, man, the next 4 years cannot be my mind hijacked by the aura, right? A lot of aura monsters will hijack you, right? It's like you meet Zherka in person. You'll be so charmed that your mind will be hijacked. And Zherka is not a nice guy. He will take your mind and, take you for a spin. He will not to take money from you, not to do this kind of stuff, but just for fun. There are people like Trump who says your mind is mine, and you're supposed to say no. No, it's not. This is where you draw the line. And And welcome to World War III. You know, whether it's a bumpy start or not, you are 100% within it. And there's nothing you can do. Trump did it to you. He's kind of doing it to you against your will. Not kind of, he actually is. You shouldn't be angry about it, but you should put your boot on the ground and say, this is not who I give my mind to, right? That's the whole, all of scripture is about not going unconscious. Scripture doesn't tell you what to do as much as people like to say it does. It's more about don't go unconscious and then you'll know how to be free. That's what it's really about. And that's why, Muslims have such fucking horrific karma is because they're they're anti-freedom in every metric, right? And the less conscious you are, the harder it is to aim for a freedom, right? It's very tough. Does that mean all of them? No. I'm sure everyone knows a Muslim guy in America that just he doesn't subscribe to the Islamic thoughts. He might call himself a cultural Muslim, but he just doesn't subscribe to it because he's just at a higher level of consciousness. And a lot of people are like, he's just saying this to make me think Christians are at a higher level of consciousness than Muslims. I'm not. I'm saying that atheists are at a higher level of consciousness than Christians, right? Because Christians need to believe, atheists need to know. They're more Gnostic about their energy. So you must realize that I'm not saying it. If I said this just to like fool some of you, if I was about the tomfoolery, then I would say that Christians are at the highest point of consciousness, and they're not. Atheists are. That's like a proven fact. It'll be Democrats too. They will be blue voters that are at the highest levels of consciousness, which is brutal, right? Because a lot of these guys aren't family oriented. They have some family quirks or stuff that allows. Remember, anytime you have a family problem, you've suffered much more than someone else. Let's say you don't talk to your family anymore, and it makes you swing blue. Remember, suffering leads to much higher levels of consciousness, so that's why it'll look like that. Even though when it gets balanced out, people will go back to family. But at the current timeline we're at now, yes, atheists who are bad with their family members usually suffer a lot, high levels of depression, despair, and a lot of them go to Silicon Valley with that and, pop out the other side as successful, mega titan, strong ass incarnations, good at three things at once. And then they even fix it with their family, although they can never fix it with God because of the suffering they went through, which is tough, right? Again, it's normal, right? For the last couple hundreds of years, religion has taken a backseat, right? So it's more about self mastery because, scripture is about a man who's already mastered heading towards higher worlds. That's when scripture gets very methodical, very, must be sharply read. But again, most people follow religion without self mastery. So therefore, they hate their religion and their addiction to fapping and all that. So, they're stuck between that and which is fucking hilarious. That's why I say if you're not successful, there's no point to religion, right? You're just building nasty shadows. And that's why just get your dreams done fast, early, like me, 25 years old, boom, 28, everything's done, right? 30, you're just traveling the world at this point, and you should know what you're doing for the rest of your life after that. And I'm saying this, that, yeah, it's less than 1% of the population that can do this. I get what you're saying, like, hey, Zherka, you're asking for too much, but my channel will never be about. It'll be about the fucking elite. That's all we ever want to hear about is the elite, right? I want to be a part of the elite. That's all I give a fuck about because the elite, and I'm not talking about the business elite. I'm saying I do whatever the fuck I want to do whenever I want to do it, and that's it. And you should be striving towards that, even if it's a fucking delusion, right? It should be your morning sun, your morning star. That's how you want to move. Why is that? You will be inexhaustible when that's your position. You will always feel like me if that's your position, and you will get there. Make no mistake about that. It's like, yeah, is 10% of the people listening to this gonna get something out of this that changes their life? 100%. Is 90% of the people listening to this gonna be more confused than when they started? That's normal. But years later, right? Years later, some of these words fit into their little miniaturized skulls, right? If you, like, for example, if you guys send me clips of, yo, this guy said his whole life got changed by watching Zherka. Why are these clips coming out 2 years later? because that's how long it takes. That's how long it takes for my words to actually penetrate you when you're at like teenage levels of consciousness, let's say. Right? So everything I say is going to hit much later, but it's still useful because it's like I'm not saying that it's always going to be slow motion. It's just going to be the beginning that's like this. And then what? 21 to 28 years old, everything I say you'll absorb easier, right? But let's bring some people in. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I heard what you said, and I think it's true. The pendulum has to swing one way or another. If it wasn't going to be the Jews, it was going to be the Muslims, and it wasn't going to be the Muslims, it would have been the Christians. And yeah, this is just the beginning. I mean, any retard can see it. And yeah, I think it's all downhill from here. But what can what can any average person really do?
Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, Charm Hole. I think you're a tanky, right? Turns out you guys were wrong about everything. That's crazy, dude.
Jesus is king.
Hey, man.
Hey, Zuckerberg.
And
Yeah,
it's fun. Like, I don't know why people act like it's a sad thing. Yeah, coming to religion is a sad thing. No doubt about it. Like Buddhist, Islam, all this stuff. Coming to religion can be a sad day in life. But coming towards Christianity is actually, even if you're going through it, it feels like a sunrise. No matter, it feels like a never ending sunrise. So, because I hate that I'm linked to people's most where they're suffering the hardest, right? Which is usually a Christian channel will be linked to that. That's how people click on it and go, "Hey, this resonates." But you'll find it slowly entering this lifestyle where, hey, I'm a crazy person like Zerka, but I also have something limiting me from going totally fucking savage. And this thing limiting me, it feels like it's my most valuable possession. And this is my soul. And this is my soul it shines towards ego consciousness. And by ego consciousness, I mean the Christian mysteries. Like, this is the direction I want to go. This is awesome. This is fun. Like, I hate people who don't understand the scriptures also fun. Obviously the hard parts is hard, but talking about interpreting scripture and finding those hacks, there are hacks in scripture for how you should live your life. That's the most fun. I that is the video game of life.
Yeah. Yo, thank you so much. First off, I just gotta say, guys, Charmo, thank you so much for doing this.
Bro, Charmo, you've been around the communities, all of our communities, since 2018 or 19, right?
I'm fucking old, dude. I'm turning 40 next week. I'm gonna die soon.
Dude, you've been in my community, Jackson's, Hawes's, Raj Patel community. You were a part of that
Yeah,
too.
bro, I can't believe you remember that shit.
Yeah. No, because you would beef people on the calls too, like a bunch of e-girls and all that. And there was also another guy called Jordan Peterson is God. Do you remember that guy?
Oh man, dude, that's a callback right there.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
I got too many hits to the head, man. All I remember is Ala, bro, about that back then.
Ala, bro, holy shit. Hey, he was great content. Why did we try and kick him out? He was fucking awesome.
Oh, he was perfect. He was the blob in real life,
Yeah.
incarnate. Like, come on.
He was Jabba. But yo, you became a tanky at one point, 2022.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
Well,
and how did they suck you in there? They said something about Russia, China being the top dog, right? I think Haas said China is going to be like the leader of the free world, and
yeah. Well, it was just the turning point because that was the moment Twitch finally pulled the trigger and said, if you talk bad politics, we're kicking you. We don't care if you never said a slur. We don't care if you never said anything like that. That was the moment where Twitch was officially. I got banned too. That's why I jumped on that
is that
bandwagon.
Ukraine war stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So right when that shit popped off, exactly. So I got banned too. Of course, it was only for like a month or something. They got banned permanently. I don't even think Hinkle's allowed back in the fucking United States right now. Shit. But like, yeah.
Which is such a depressing trade. Like if you've ever been to one of these countries, bro, I'm not just being a hater. Imagine not being able to come to the US. You have to hang out in Russia. You know how boring that is?
Oh, it's cold. It's like Minnesota. Like I
No, all the old parts of like Europe is so much fun to travel as a vacation, but old Europe is really boring. Once you're done the fucking tourist shit, you're really bored.
yeah. Seeing sheep and corn is like the highlight of your day. No, man,
Yeah.
it's uh wait, hold on. We're getting too sidetracked. Guys, fucking share this, like this, bookmark this shit. Seriously, everything Zergo said tonight is more than true. More than true. Okay, you really don't understand what the layers, not just philosophically, not just spiritually, right? Physically, okay? You stop thinking about audio as something that you can't see and can't prove. It's more than real, and you've been injecting it into your vein brains for God knows me, at least 2018, right? Take this to
Yeah.
heart, please.
Oh, memes can fucking be like spirits in your head. They can take over. Bro, I had memes of just Trump nuking the world and I was smiling. I was like, holy shit, this Twitter's got some hard ass memes, bro. Like,
Dude.
what the he hijacked my mind.
That's so true. I was just talking about the mycelium network today with my boss, right? Saying how, you know, so like how we're talking right now, of course, over radio, I'm sorry, electrified crystals. That's literally how we're speaking right now across the world in real time. Well, our brains do the exact same thing, except bioelectrically, right? With mushrooms, right? We're walking fucking mushroom stalks, okay? You have to understand this. And when one mushroom dies, gets eaten, farts, right? Another mushroom will smell it, will cry, will eat it, right? This it almost instantly because it's a part of the exact same network. We now, for God knows how long, 30 years, right? Internet has just existed. As humans, we've now sucked this up. And to Circus' point earlier, I don't want to brag, but I'm Aryan as fuck. Okay. I am the wigger. You understand? I am the
What the
wigger.
fuck?
Seriously, I'm not even joking. I'm 6'3".
That's right.
I'm 300 fucking pounds, blonde hair, blue eyed, white as snow.
Well, how are you 300 pounds?
Brother, ask the homeless
Dude,
guys that fucking scream
you're
at
a
me when
you're
I'm
a
shaking.
bodybuilder?
Okay.
Are you a bodybuilder or a fat ass?
I'm literally both. I'm
Yeah.
I bodybuild so I can eat pizza every fucking
Yo, first of all, can you explain to people the kind of appetite a man has? Because, bro,
day.
5'5" people, humans, male and female, they don't like. You know, when a 5'5" guy gets hungry, it's not a big deal. But when a big guy gets hungry, yo, you can drop from blood sugar issues. You can literally drop and break your head. Like, bro, imagine having a 5'5" body to take care of. It must be so
I
easy.
was
It
thinking
must
that
be
the
like
other
you get a little peckish. Like, who gives a
I'm
fuck?
at the
If you
gym
get
this
hungry as a big guy, you're like, oh man, I'm fucking dying, man.
I think that every single time I see a little bitch do a pull up, I cry because I'm like, I'm built
Yeah,
like a T-Rex. I can kick
yeah.
you to death with one
Dude,
kick.
it's always to say I can do a lot of
Yeah.
pull-ups. Like, no
What?
fucking shit you can do a
No.
lot of pull-ups.
Dinklage, shit. Dinklage, look at you fucking getting 500
Yeah,
reps of yourself.
yeah. It's like
Big
if you have
5 pound piece of shit.
if you've seen these T-Rexes, they don't have long arms and they go, I can bench a lot. It's like you're not even benching. You're barely
You're
moving the
breathing.
fucking weight.
You might as well stand
Yeah,
on your
look
chest. It's coming up.
ask Michael Jordan to do a bench press. That's rough. That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you always see big niggas squat. Okay. I was telling these kids earlier,
Yeah.
I can do 900 pounds easy. They said, no, you can't. I said, brother, I'm doing 300 right now. When I fucking go to take a shit, I do a quarter, like, a quarter of that. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So the homeless guys, I'm riding my bike on the fucking streets, and the homeless guys are like, hey, girl, and I look back and they see a big ass beard. They're like, oh fuck, they fucking chase me down. They throw bottles at me. They literally get mad because my fat ass is male, right? So this is kind of
Yeah.
like that kind of flows into my whole the entire
Bro, I like to get fat 2 times a year. And bro, getting fat used to be impossible for Bro, getting fat used to be impossible for me. But if you've ever done aggressive, not regular, but aggressive ass steroid cycles, your appetite expands. Like it takes 2 years till it goes back to normal. It takes, some people say never. I don't think that. I think that's just bad eating habits. But man, if you've ever done an aggressive gear cycle, and you're, let's say you're a fat ass I had a fat ass buddy who did that. He was obese for the rest of his life after that because it's like a desire body issue after that. But which is horrible, by the way. Like people think they want a giant skeletal frame to take care of until you realize everything is annoying about that. I look at some of my buddies who wear the same t-shirt for 48 hours and they don't have sweat on their shirt. They
Yeah.
don't even have to do laundry. Some of these guys pretend they're doing laundry, but smaller human beings don't have to do laundry. Do you know how I know they're not doing it? They're nasty because they don't notice that they're sweaty. They don't sweat that much. You know what I
They
mean?
exist in the
So that's why
sweaty
I
environment.
look at I look at smaller incarnations and I go, they're less
Yeah.
hygienic because a bigger guy is always worried if he
This is
smells
why
or not and all that.
this is why it's so easy to believe that Nephilim exists now. I am a Nephilim. You are a Nephilim. Like if you're over 6 feet tall and you meet someone who's a
Yeah,
pygmy, right? Like
yeah,
they are literally a tiny person. They exist on a completely different wavelength, physically, mentally, in every way than you do.
yeah.
Like, and it's hard.
And you got to remember the cosmic joke of why we laugh at a short person is because their thoughts didn't grow with them, so they held themselves from a tall incarnation just by their own mind's capacity. That's why you look at a tall guy, he always goes, maybe I can be president. He lets his mind
Oh my
expand way
God,
more.
that's wow. You just blew my mind. Luckily,
And I just don't
I have the
charm.
ramp.
I don't like
Well, no,
short people, bro. I've given. You ever give a million short people chances, and they always have this thing like you're better than me. Yeah, of course I'm better than you. What the fuck?
forever, forever for
And,
nothing other than the fact that I have to
yeah,
literally look up to you. Act.
and they do weird guilt trip tactics. Like when you're at a bar with them, they go, "Must be cool being up there." Like the chicks like you, and it's like, why are you guilt tripping? You're the one who chose your incarnation. You chose
You
that
just
shit, bro.
unlocked a fucking core memory I totally forgot about. I was working at Olive Garden. I'm a server. This girl, oh my god, she's like this tiny little Jew, fucking so hot. She could have been IDF. I don't care, right? She was so beautiful, right? And I see this guy, right? This bald, fucking short, whoever, right? Scott, right? Goes up to her. He's an actor. Hey, you want to go see the new Bond movie, right? And I walk up and I go. She's like, well, and I go, hey, I'll go. Hey, I want to see the new Bond movie. And Scott looks at me like he could kill me, but I didn't pick up on that because the girl immediately said, yeah, let's all do it, right? And we go.
There it
He
is.
sits in
She
the
wants to
middle
feel
the
safe.
entire time.
Wants
The
wants
entire
she
night.
wants to feel safe because she can't go with the short.
Off in the middle of the fucking movie. Yeah, whereas me, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, Daniel Craig, this fucking shit's tight. Hey, have you heard about Jesus Christ? You know, like
I have met one or two short guys that never mentioned height about my height or their own height, and I always respected the fuck out of them. Like they don't even think of it, but
yeah.
that's so rare. You'll meet two of those people your whole life.
Oh, absolutely. Oz unfortunately is not one of those people, but
Haas
very
loves to mention height. He loves to just anywhere he goes, everything is height cope maxing, bro. He's
when he had that height off with Destiny and it turned out they're
Ah.
twins. They're fucking twins.
Well, in a weird way, Destiny and I are cool now. You know, we unblocked each other, but in a
Yeah,
weird way, Haas is the whole beef of when he was beefing with Destiny with who is more masculine. I remember thinking, I'm like, the fact that Haas is entertaining this makes him look bad. I wouldn't entertain it. I would just laugh, right?
very
I was
no,
like,
absolutely.
Destiny knew that he's making himself look jester so long as he gets to take Haas down with him, like on kamikaze shit.
Yeah. Oh, who cares? Because he gets to suck all the fucking girl toes all night.
Yeah,
Fucking,
there you go.
he's
There you
snorting shit off their fucking toe jam, right? Meanwhile,
go.
Haas, what is he gonna do? Oh, he's gonna go pump about it at the gym. Well, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
pump about it. It's like, yeah,
Charm, are you pro America or no?
bro, I am the American. I'm literally the heart of America. You said earlier First off,
You knew what I meant when I said that you can be born in Indonesia and have an obsession for America. You've seen those people,
yeah,
right?
and marabouts, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
Hassan
And
Khan
people
was
don't
very proud
realize
of his
what
troops.
that is.
Absolutely.
That's that people don't realize that's a spirit. Like it's contagious. It's super. Once it's on you, you cannot get it out of you.
No, absolutely. I'm fucking heart of America. This is why Fuentes is so hard. This is why Ye is so hard. Is because
Yeah.
Chicago land area, Chicago mafia land, Mafia, the American mafia. That's what Trump is. We don't care about Jewish mafia, Italian
Yeah.
mafia, Rome mafia. Fuck off.
I go as far
American
as
mob now. Like,
people are like, you mean all the cool things about America? I'm like, no. The fact that you can go trans as fuck is so badass to me. A lot of conservative channels attack me for this. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, the fact that the freedom impulse has so much electricity that there's a risk you could chop your own shit off.
yeah,
That is so fucking bad. It's like Goku doing Kaioken where it hurts him. It hurts him, but he has to do it to win the fight.
your motorcycle girl analogy earlier was spot on. That's why I was saying like that.
Yeah, a
Period.
lot of people don't realize that it's like, dude, as a man, if you feel women should be covered up on the streets, right? Like not in some kind of beautiful religious way, but in a way where they don't even want it. It's like just to oppress them. If you have an impulse of that's cool, there's something really backwards about you. And a lot of people are like, well, look at the old scripture. And it's like, no. We're looking at evolved consciousness to 2026. Like, for example, you can make so many arguments it's okay to marry a 14-year-old and all that. But the fact that consciousness by group in the West evolved into saying, no, that's a little weird, then you should have the DLC pack of what's weird, bro. You know what I mean?
This is what I was speaking to earlier when I said we grew up on the internet. This is why I love Zoomers so much, because as a millennial, as an old fucking asshole, I got the internet when I was like 10. I was a teen. I was right in that area, right? But basically, I grew up with electronics. Zoomers, you kids grow up with iPads. You're
Yeah.
already in the holodeck as a baby.
I,
This is
I
all
would,
they
I
see.
would, I would never consider like the MP3 player generation, the iPod Nano. I don't consider that as a screen generation at all. But these guys who grow up with iPads, they're different animals. Where it's like, yes, they might be better at the workplace as just computer robots, but I genuinely believe in my heart, though, that this iPad generation will have the highest risk profile for suicide by far.
Well, because all they have to do is flip a switch, right? All
Well,
like
it's
all
because they
any
think
of these
it's
AI
because they
guys,
think
all like
charm
you think
charm.
of
It's
gang
because they
stalking, we'll
think
think of AI gang stalking. Like
they literally think they are a switch. They press so many.
they're all, yeah.
They press so many buttons. They think they are a button. It's like a lot of people don't realize. Like Zerka, why are you against smokers? You can smoke a pipe for so long that you think you are. You start identifying with the pipe. You forget you are conscious. You become the pipe. You don't feel good unless the pipe is around. You become whatever you're doing. You could be a gamer who games so much that you drop out of the incarnation and you identify with GTA, and now you're suicidal because you're no longer in the world. You will identify with what you're obsessed with, which can be very dangerous, bro.
So you don't think you're being plagued by somebody in the future? You don't.
I think if you smoke a pipe long enough to the point where you are a pipe, you're in danger. If you play a game long enough to where you are the game, you're in danger. Like that's how fucking Club Penguin were born, bro. And remember, you can identify with things in a badass way, right? Like Logan Paul identified with wrestling, and now he is a wrestler, but he's much more than that too. And there's some wrestlers who identify with wrestling so hard that they want to win, they want to be successful, but they have to take painkillers to keep up. And now they're addicted to Percocet and they ruin their lives. Then they kill themselves because they identified with wrestling too much. That's why the name of the game, every single mystic throughout history said, don't identify, use. Use the thing in front of you. Don't identify. Use the motorcycle, enjoy it. Don't be the motorcycle to the point where you're fucking dead from riding all day.
This is why Spielberg is kind of empty now, right? You think of Steven Spielberg, he abused Drew Barrymore, right? There's no doubt in my mind. I do think that you're right. You're, which sucks because I was hoping to like I don't know become like a gamer incarnate, right? But that is a really good point because once you are it, then you are the object. Same thing, relating it back to smaller people not being able to grasp bigger ideas. First off, I just have a large head. I'm literally, when I was in football, I had a huge helmet because I have a big head. I have big thoughts. I have more
Which, by the way, girls love that way more. Have you noticed that? If you there's a website I forgot that checks large head celebrities and how many chicks they have
Oh,
compared
no.
to small. Dude, you could be a good looking guy with a smaller head. You get way less women. Like it's a thing.
Damn, man. Now Hassan's
Yeah,
on Suicide Watch. Shit, Ayatollah Hassani.
yeah,
Maybe he
yeah,
can be the new Ayatollah. No, but
yeah.
uh, yeah. So, oh well. So yeah, with children, when you have children, you'll notice that they really are slaves. Like they're your slave. They're you, but they're,
Where are you going with this?
well, look. Oh wait, hold on. Whoa, 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 wait. No, I mean in the mental sense, right? Like they don't have choices.
They
They
are.
don't think of things that
Yeah.
way. Yeah,
I mean, they're good slaves. They mimic too.
yeah. Well, tabula rasa, right?
Yeah.
There is nothing, but it will get written, and you might be able to wipe it away again, but eventually you lock in, literally, like very much so into who you are. And then that comes freedom, right? This is why I told CNN, right? I'm hanging out with Haas and Hinkle. Meanwhile, this little brownoid's trying to kick me out, right? He's like, "You're Carmel, you said a slur." I'm like, "Nigga, you're tiny. I will eat you. Like, shut up," right? Like, there's when I was there, I said time and time again, freedom wills freedom. Hegel said this 200 years ago. It's my favorite quote. I love him more than anything. The more I think about it, just think about this quote: freedom wills freedom. Your freedom to choose will allow you to choose more, which will allow you to become really who you are. Not, oh, I'm the guy that can quote every single South Park episode and every single Simpsons. No, like you you will then be able to truly move beyond who you were born as and then create
Yeah.
unto yourself. You can be reincarnated in your own lifetime. I think you said
Yeah.
like that's
It's like you can have, it's like God says you can have any, if God came down and said you can have any gift you want so long as it's freedom, and everyone would be like, what the fuck, that's the only thing, I want something else. And people don't realize that that's the one that morphs into anything else. That's literally that thought perception right there can transform how you see the world. That if you aim for freedom, it can turn into anything you want to do. But if you aim for being a billionaire, now you're limited, and now chances are you'll never make it. Right? When you aim for freedom, it's like an everlasting spring of energy. You can just keep saying to yourself, wait a minute, if I keep maximizing freedom, I get closer to my incarnation task. This is so fucking strange. This is why most breakthroughs happen for most people. They quit their job. Have you ever quit your job and then breakthroughs start happening? You're like, what the fuck is going? Everything's shifting, and you're like, whoa, fuck that job. That job was shit, but it wasn't shit when you were just out of it, right? There's breakthroughs that happen in the soil of freedom, and a lot of people don't realize that the Iranian people, they want that freedom too. You know, as much as you guys want to suppress women and stuff, it's not going to happen. A lot of these people are making, some people are making that argument that the pendulum's going to swing back to being conservative, and it's like the more conservative it swings in the future, the more women will be free. That you cannot stop freedom. The freedom impulse for men and women is going to keep increasing until it and destroys, and this has to happen. I'm not saying it's evil, until it destroys all the foundations of marriage, where humans cannot even live together, right? And not even you and your buddies will be able to live together, right? Ego consciousness is going to get that hyper individualized. And a lot of you guys don't realize that it's like the more you try and suppress the woman, the more miserable you'll be. But when you say, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want, she will like you more, that you don't give a fuck. When you say, hey, I need you at this time, at this time, dude, you're not married, bro. Met someone that's good to argue with on stream. That's a fun type of embarrassment where it's kind of embarrassing, but also it's going somewhere, right? It's good content, whatever. The chat is buzzing, and you look at the money, you're like, this is much better than applying. So let's get Charm back in here. What were you saying?
Yo, Zherka.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So I've given up on Sonny and Sneeko. It just seems like they're very deep into like the Arabization.
Well,
Um,
I'll say this. Have you noticed that they are more those two are more extreme than the average Muslim? Have
why
you
do you think
noticed
so?
that?
Why do you think they're more extreme?
Something clearly happened to them when they were young, and for Sonny, it's more of a father figure thing, where the Christian mysteries are not father figure enough for him because he wants a higher level of strictness, right? Remember, when you grow up without a father, the strictness has to be there, and Christianity does not have the strictness because it's evolved towards the freedom impulse. Like that's what the Christ force is freedom. That's why people, even Christians, go, I don't know what I'm really doing with my life. And Jesus Christ isn't going to come down and say, you have to, work with, you have to be a tax broker or whatever the fuck. He's not going to do that for you, right? It's a freedom impulse. Whereas Islam doesn't have the freedom impulse. So, there are lower levels of consciousness. It's going to be one of those things, right? It's going to be an insecurity thing for Sonny that freedom impulse is way too scary. And but by the way, you can become an alcoholic with the freedom impulse, where it's like when the Christ says all doors are open for you, go, like there's no way to living life. You just the way is the one that allows you to generate the best loving thought forms. So it's not like scripture will ever tell you what your career is or whatever, which is like the hard part for people. So that's where it gets confused. For Sneeko, I said this many times when I first met Sneeko too, and he thought I'm joking. I think everyone knew I'm serious. Sneeko has something in him that is rotten. He has a soul defect where
I
there's
agree.
evil. There's evil in his heart. There's hatred in his heart, and that's why you can always see it because it's like a Ted Bundy thing that you want to show to people in a interesting way. Like for example, have you seen Sneeko talk about Indian people? Like as funny as he is as a comedian, when Zerka shits on Indian people, everyone's laughing. When Sneeko does it, you can tell he wants to butcher them with a knife. There's this hatred of the Indian person, and you can see in Sneeko's eyes, nothing happened towards him and Indians. He never got hacked by them. He never got stopped on the streets and attacked by them. But it's a superiority thing that he wants to be like, I can't say it to the white guy because technically on the hierarchy he's above in the social status, but I can be the white slave owner against the Indian because I'm technically at a higher. I'm in the West, so Sneeko like becomes the Nick Fuentes archetype around the Indian, which is crazy to me because it's like that means Sneeko actually believes in these color things, like there's a color hierarchy and all that, right? But it's not just that. You can see that in his career, he's beefed literally everyone, and I'm like, he doesn't even have a warlike disposition. He doesn't have that war thing. Sneeko doesn't have the war thing in him. Everyone likes to say that the war is in Sneeko until he gets checked. When Sneeko gets checked, he immediately goes back to being a bunny rabbit. So he doesn't have the war in him, but he has the torturer archetype in him. If it was a thing where he Sneeko doesn't take pleasure in war because if they hit back or if it's too much, he'll always like do something else or go regroup Muslims to help him. But he has this archetypal energy that he gets off on torturing souls. Like he has a power. It's a power vacuum where it's like he feels no matter how powerful he is, it's never enough. He always something happened to him. Like did you kill someone? Like what the fuck was that? But something happened to him where a kid kicked rocks in his face as a child, and instead of him getting over that or getting strong, he needs to kick rocks in other children's faces. And it's really weird because you can see Stinko always retreating to, hey, we should be friends again. Hey guys, we should be allies again. We should be this again, and we should do it. Hey, if we collab, we're cool. And it's like, dude, we cannot collab because your whole incarnation is to increase primitive Islam, not even the higher levels of consciousness of Islam, but the primitive side. And here's the crazy thing is his whole career, his whole money-making system is connected to that. That's like, is Zerka's channel connected to Christianity? Does Zerka make money off Christianity? Like, I make zero. I make money off Red Pill. I make money off other things that I talk about. I don't make, the Christian stuff is always the free stuff. It's not hidden behind a paywall. It's always on a Jack Neal podcast. It's always the stuff forward, but it's not linked to my money. His religion is linked to his money directly, which makes it so easy to corrupt him. Which also makes it so he can never take breaks. It's like you can see when humans don't learn their lessons, they're going further and further into the mud. Like, for example, Sneeko avoided all the Islamic podcast channels that are chill, and he went right to Muhammad Hijab, to right to the extremes and the crazies and the ones that the outrage, the clickbait ones, right? You could say it's for clickbait, it's not. The soul loves extremes. Like, think of Sneeko's cocaine being Islam. He likes the bad stepped on cut up bags. He doesn't like the pure powder. He likes the cheap stuff you get on the street that's mixed with speed and meth and all that. He likes the shittier, lower level consciousness versions of Islam. And it suits him. Remember, he only joined the faith. I don't know if anyone realizes this. He only joined the faith so they can help him with a wife because he didn't like the dating scene in Miami or something. And that's what all these trips are about. And so it started off as a wife thing, and then he gave up on that, and now it's more like a war thing, and then it turned into like a Christian Islamic hybrid channel, and then it turned into Convert Zherka's fans, which I didn't even realize he's doing this until you guys brought me to consciousness with this, and I was like, I really didn't think a human could be all this sneaky. Like every move he makes is in his head it's for God. No, it's not. He's not even religious, bro. He All of this is a system to keep him guarded. And people are like, well, why can't you just be homies for the sake of being homies? And it's like, you will never convert one of my children and have me be cool with you. It's like if Myron was converting my fans on the low to join some temple. I would say, Myron, what the fuck are you doing? It's the dirtiest thing you could do because these fans are thinking, oh, I only went to Sneeko because Zerka green lighted him, right? Zerka green lit him. Oh, Zerka stopped going on the Sneeko shows. Oh, it's because Zerka doesn't want to green light him. It's like, that's why he's angry. It's like, yeah, dude, if you understand how all this is tied, who would have thought that in less than 2 years, he's the most radical channel where he's saying some shit that's just fucking embarrassing, bro. Like there's blue pill and then there's green pill, which is the blue pill of the fucking Islamic world. He's You can tell it's embarrassing because if you noticed, even Sneeko supporters get on his ass. Like his own supporters who rock the same faith, they get on his ass when he's fucking up. And it's like, when you see higher levels of consciousness from Aiden Ross recently than Sneeko, it's like it's a big problem. And I guarantee you in 2 years you're gonna see he's gonna be one of the most radical channels on earth, right? And all of that has to happen to pull the evil out of you. You have to kind of ride the wave of it, and it'll purge itself eventually. But man, what you're seeing is like what a week ago he called you guys satanic for being followers of the Christ,
Yeah, and he made that
and
tweet the
then
other day saying, "Oh, we need to be friends. We need to unite."
yeah, he said we gotta all be friends, and it's like, dude, you are not the friendship channel. Like
He,
you're not Myron, you're not Nick. Even Nick did a good job of gluing both sides, even though for 6 months I said this is like hopeless. This is a stupid strategy, and I was right. It was kind of crazy. It's crazy to think that.
yeah, it's just they can't pick a side where they're like, "Oh, you know what? We've got our main enemy, which is the Jews. Let's team up, us Christians and us Muslim. We've got our common enemy." When they say these other things like, because with Sneaker, for example, he shits on Christ all day long, right? Like, how do you have the audacity to come out with a tweet like that saying we need to unite? It's like, are you trying to be manipulative on purpose? Like, are you taking the piss? Like, what's going on there? And you know what's funny? In the Quran, chapter 5, verse 51, it says that don't take Christians and Jews as friends because they're friends of one another. It's like, dude, your own book condemns you for that, right? But I wanted to speak on Myron because I think Myron has potential. But what do you think Zerka is going to take
Yeah.
Myron to come to Christ? I don't know what sort of conversations you had with Myron Gaines,
Yeah.
but what do you think it's going to take Myron to come to the truth, man? Like, what's your analysis on him?
Yeah, I've always maintained no matter who I'm around that you have to be an idiot to think that everyone goes to the Christ in this incarnation. It's retarded to think that. Myron will die a Muslim. That's like how he came in the game like that. He's gonna leave like that, and that's extremely normal. Like you shouldn't even be worried about that. Same with like a native guy will die native. A Chinese guy is gonna die what Buddhist or maybe Shinto Buddhist or atheist or whatever. That's like totally normal. And throughout history, you can see this that many souls have died the way they were born. And that's just totally fucking normal. It's total. If you understand anything I teach, you wouldn't even be worried about those people at all. Who you should be worried about is the people raised Christian, love Christianity, and still run away from it. Those people are in danger.
I think with Myron's lifestyle, like I was binge watching Fresh and Fit for so long, right, for like 2 years until you came onto the show, started talking about Christ, and then I was pulled to your content. But seeing Myron still doing after hours is like, bro, like this is like proper hustle from him. And I'm thinking like,
What do you
Myron,
mean by that?
like the fact that like it's still going on, like the after hours show. Like I thought that'd be dead by now, but it's still like popping off and it's still like even bigger than what it was before. And I think with Christianity, right, because like do you know what repent means, Zerka? Like the Greek word?
Yeah, go ahead.
It means like to change one's mind. So with Myron, I feel like with him, while I think you're partially right with what you're saying, is that he needs to like literally change his lifestyle, meaning no more after hour shows, no more the stuff that he does. Like you literally you don't change your outer, but you have to change your inner. Like Jesus says, you have to come to him with all your heart. So I think Myron has to literally transform for him to come to Christ. And I don't think he's ready for that. Like he's too deep in his ego and too deep in his identity of being this podcaster, Miami guy who gives advice on women and stuff. Like it has to be a complete change of identity for him. So I think
Well,
that's
I think the opposite would happen. That if he did come to the Christ, his podcast would be even more liberal, more bitches, more because it's a freedom impulse of like, we're saved. It's one of those things. But if he went to his religion, it would be like more strict. I think he'd be like, But again, who would Myron be if he didn't have that show? He wouldn't be the Myron we all know. The whole point is that you play the cards you're dealt, and eventually you fade out the bullshit. That's why, you can really judge someone as they're getting much older, like for when their hairs start graying. Like that's when you'll see someone's genuine interest shining. But usually in their 20s and their early 30s, it's like I don't know how much judging I would do. If, like, for example, I wouldn't judge Jordan Peterson when he was 35. It's like we don't see the total. Right now, he's a lot older. We see exactly what his soul is about, which is weird. He became fucking evil. Like, he totally became about, dead kids. And I think Peterson was my favorite incarnation in 2015. Is like huge inspiration. It was like, it's like I felt like he's only speaking to me. He's like mentioning Jung and stuff that people don't know about, and I was like, "Wow, this is awesome." And then he just became this like, a dude all about like pleasing Netanyahu and stuff like that. And it's like it's a cool reminder that you can fall off from the top. Like Peterson was the highest level of consciousness we've seen, and then he fell off the top. He got bitter and angry, and it could happen even to me. That at the top I just say "fuck these goat fuckers." It's easy for me to get bitter. It's easy for bro. If I could have a bad day and be worse than Hitler. I could literally. I get so angry when I see people justifying this whole like wrap up a woman and keep her at home all day. It's like, bro, first of all, you can only do that if their heart's in it, right? You can't force that shit.
100%. And yeah, I remember your first appearance on Fresh and Fit. I think one of the first things you said was like, you were born Muslim and you came to Christ. Like that for me, like me being a Muslim
Yeah,
back then, I was
yeah,
shocked, bro. I was like, what? Because I felt like your energy was good. Like
yeah.
um, like you were spitting a lot of game. But the fact that you came to Christ, I was like, what the hell? Like that's so weird. But for some reason, I kept watching you. I don't know why. And I think any other Muslim that would hear that uh, a Muslim going to Christianity, they'll instantly turn you off, right? And I don't know what your opinion about this is. Like, why do you think some people who are Muslim would continue listening to you despite you saying, like, F the Muslims,
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
Christianity, and
or
other people will just switch you off, and others will continue to watch you? Like, why do you think people have that sort of like?
yeah, yeah. I know what you're asking. It's almost like, well, why do people pay so much money to listen to my inner calls in dzerkofficial.com in our secret society? There's a lot of Muslims in there, and we try and squeeze them out, and they hide and stuff like that. And I know what the real reason is. It's not because they love me. It's not because of all the sweet, warm stuff. It's because their lives are genuinely better listening to me, better than when they listen to their parents, better than when they listen to their cousins, their uncles, better when they listen to their own God in their own scripture, better than when they listen to regular scripture from regular Christians. When a human's life tremendously benefits listening to one voice online, and usually it's that voice that kind of disappears. If you like, even Peterson would disappear on me. I'm like, where the fuck's this guy going all the time? He's so good. He should be giving us more content, and he'd take like long breaks and stuff. I don't know. He's like battling a drug addiction and shit. But yeah, if your life benefits, if Zerka tells you what's happening when you're dreaming, and you go to bed and start realizing, oh shit, he's not lying to me. He's kind of scaring me with how much truth he's bringing. When you start seeing it in your world, you're like, holy shit, that little one habit Zerka drilled in my head changed my whole life. It's impossible to drop Zerka. They make Zerka their god. And I don't mean like they pray to me, but everything I post, their notifications are on so they can get the latest update. They want to be the first one there. Now, for someone like you, it's like, yeah, I was targeting you. It sounds almost like methodical and evil, but I come from an atheist background with atheist parents and atheist family. But on the checkbox, if you say what country you're born in, you got to say, Kosovo, Albania, whatever, from that region. And what is that country's religion? That one that you're born with, you got to say, you're a Muslim. But were we ever Muslim in the sense of like actually being Muslim? No. Did I platform that as in, hey guys, I'm from a shittier place, like a much shittier place where people are really confused about where the God energy is on earth? I'm from that place. If I pop out into ego consciousness, you can too. So it's like a bat signal, right? And I knew that Muslims aren't going to turn me off. They're like, oh, he kind of reminds me of this guy, or he kind of looks like this and stuff like that. I knew it was like a signal of, hey guys, if you guys are ready to cross the road, you're going to go so much further in life. And I didn't take them to know, like for example, if I took them to regular Christianity, oh my God, would that'd be the most evil thing you could do, because they not only do they ruin their relationships with their families for switching faiths, but it's not even the truth. Like, there's no modern Christian channel that tells the truth. They don't talk about the freedom impulse that the Christ brings. They talk about everything antithetical to freedom. They actually try and tell you that the Christ force is some kind of like fatherly force of like, no, it's about freedom, right? And then you choose. And if you don't teach this correctly, you're fucked. And you can't teach this correctly unless you do 1 year of red pill, crazy ass content, screaming at the top of your lungs. Why? So people go, oh, he lived his freedom. He lives his freedom. He's showing us that you can have, like, for example, sounds fucking crazy to say, but I can't even name one influencer who has had stronger karma than me. Women, money, looks, every fucking it's all of it, to the point where I'm getting fat. Like, I don't know what to do with all this, you know? And it's like, it's so simple to see how this happens for someone like me. You just study Zerka at 5 to 10 years old. If you saw what my soul is like, you'd be like, oh, he's really gentle. He's for the Christian mysteries. He's actually a sweetheart. He doesn't lie. He doesn't. Oh shit, that it sticks onto me from previous energies, and that inner child that I have is my guiding star. That when no matter how much I sin, I can always go back to, hey, young man inside of me, what do you want to do? And he always says, I want to go on a Twitter Spaces and tell these people to be anti-war. And it's like, yes, you've got to be like a child to inherit the kingdom. You are my guiding star, where it's like you are the true Christian, because as an adult you can do a lot of sinful shit, but your inner child's usually going to be like, I want peace on earth. and that guy has to be involved, right? And for me, it's always been like, I don't want to be like Gary. You know, like Gary's such a conflicted, horrible karma soul. Like, yeah, I don't mean like I know what happened to him. It's just anytime he's talking, he's like always being cooked alive by his own thought forms. And Gary also is like stares off into windows a lot. I remember he used to stare. Gary reminded me of me on drugs. I don't not the weed like a drug, but he'd stare off into windows filled with regret. He's like, oh, I got a bit of money, but I was just so angry. I was always beefing people, and I'm like, bro, Gary, usually it takes drugs to beef that many people. You're not even on drugs. Like you're just a tormented soul. So Gary's just like someone who I feel like is such a child soul. He's like such a childish soul, and which is why he's entertaining. But yeah, I gotta take him under my wing, man. The guy I gotta teach him shit because it's almost like what the fuck is Gary doing, bro? Like what the fuck? Let's bring him in. Charm hole first.
Oh, Zherka, are you still into numerology or
Oh yeah, bro, I love it, man. It's like, dude, I've been with an 11 recently. No, to
what
tell you
about
the
mine?
truth, bro,
I'm
it's
September.
a joke. It's a joke.
Oh,
Don't get ahead of yourself. Like I always say, I'll bring back numerology if I'm live, if it's on stream, if it's one of those, but never on
can you do my
Spaces.
one? Can you do my one?
Bro, are you kidding me? Like you're gonna burn in hell for this? No, no, we're not. And you know what's crazy is like I like the animal stuff. Like if you ask anyone, they'll be like, Zerka doesn't give a fuck about my numerology, but he does ask me what animal the animal one is cool to. I like asking, not that I believe it, but I like the animal shit. Like if I meet a chick who's an ox and she starts acting stubborn, I like having something to blame it on. Like, oh, it's because you're an ox. But no, I don't think I will ever promote that. Like that shit is hilarious to me. That like, what is it? Just Gary? It's just Gary. Everyone else under Gary is like ruining their lives with that shit. It's like Gary's the only one who, in his matrix, numerology is working, right? Because he's got a show with Fresh. It's got to be working if your business partner is Fresh, right? Always got to shit on Fresh because they shit on me on their show. So fuck them.
Are you cool with? I don't know when you started to not be mates with Sneeko. Like when did that
Oh,
happen?
it's when the Aiden Ross clip where he calls me a pedo and everyone defends me except Sneeko because he's sitting next to him. And I don't watch the clip. It's like muted. So I let 8 months go by until you guys send me the clip again, which is I commented on the clip, but usually I comment without even watching the clip because it's like I already know what these guys are gonna say. I want to go back to my day. I use Twitter like quickly. And that's my mistake. When I saw the clip like was it 4 months ago? I was like, and for the first 2 months, I didn't care. I was still on vacation mode. But man, it just cooked me. I was like, what the fuck kind of job interview could Aiden have for you that you don't stand up for me, and you've stood up for me before. It wouldn't even be inconsistent. It was like, but standing up for me doesn't matter if you do it on your channel. It's not a big deal. But if someone is blatantly calling you that, I don't know if he's a pedo, but he's saying shit like that. And I just see him sitting there, and in a weird way, when you're homies, it's like, yeah, my homie doesn't stand up for me, but at least he got the job. I have that thing where it's like, at least Sneeko made some money off that. He didn't even make money. He didn't even get the job interview or whatever he was trying to do. So it was like a double failure. Not only did he not defend me, but he didn't get the job he wanted with the Aiden thing. Aiden fucked him over and he starts crying to me. And I forget about it. I still help the guy out. And then the clip resurfaces. And my anger fucking explodes. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing defending this clown of a human being? And it's one of those clips where it's like, yeah, I could be cool with him in the future. Not that I want to, but he is so weak and so like in front of Aiden, he's so weak that Aiden is my mortal enemy. Like, what the fuck? He's so weak in that clip that I cannot wash it out of my head. I can't wash the weakness out of my head. And then I forgot about the clip, to be honest. Like, I really forgave him and didn't give a fuck. But he started doing the Mandani thing with Islamic thing. And for me, nothing gets more angry than Muslims pretending they believe in God. No Muslim actually believes in God. Like they're coping animals. They believe in their hierarchy. It's like a war religion. They're trying to implement their fucking Sharia deep down. They don't. They. You know what's funny is they're conscious enough for the war aspects of it. You know, and they can be so dangerous as people to be around. Like if you've ever seen Speaker's Corner, they turn into a group soul very quickly, unlike the whites, and it's just fucking embarrassing how if you've ever seen lower levels of consciousness group up together, you cannot feel bad for them. Well, you should feel bad for them because if you're a lower level of consciousness, chances are you're going to suffer a lot. Like you're not going to suffer towards evolution. You're going to suffer in a different way, which is sad. If you tell a human, "Hey, you're suffering, but you're evolving," they go, "Okay, I'll keep going." But if you're suffering for other reasons, it's like, whoa, dude, like those people turn to animals, they'll kill you, they're fucked up in the head. And you got to be careful with that. And the cool Muslims you meet, you'll probably forget that they're Muslim. But the worst Muslims you'll meet, they'll keep reminding you. So when Sneako's channel turned into just reminding us, it's like, even if Sneako was like a Christian today, I wouldn't be cool with him because he's so weak. He could just snake. They're under the floorboards. Like he'll snake your whole friends and family, and it's just someone that weak is so easily corrupted. Especially like if the meme in your community is Zherka can be a reckless asshole. Okay, yeah, I'll hang out with Zherka. Myron can be this, and Nick can be that. Okay, yeah, they all have their own kind of contradictions and memes to them, but if the meme in your community is that you're a chameleon, like Sneeko, if the meme in your own community is that you don't have truth, you just follow the red pill way, follow this way. If the meme in your own community is that the creator is a chameleon, then that's a dangerous human being to be around. And, like that's like my big regret is not that I have regrets, but I should have known. Been like, they're gonna multiply, they're gonna outbreed, they're gonna be around all that. Like, we should have never done that. We should.
I think with yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
I think with Sneeko, what you said about him having this rotten nature, I mean, it goes to show, I mean, how he treated you compared to Aiden. I mean, you did so much more for
Yeah,
Sneeko
I
than
did too much, bro.
yeah.
I did way too much.
And then he turns his back on you. It's like, dude, like that run you guys did in 2023, bro. Like you can't top that collab that you and Sneaker had. And you probably taught him a lot of things about just everything in life, right? And you tried your absolute best to bring him to Christ, but he just, wasn't going through his thick skull. And for him to just do that, I mean, yeah, you have every right to just like,
I mean, to tell you the truth, I didn't try to bring him to the Christ because I still have personality defects. One of my personality defects is if I know someone's like a weakling, like their mind can be changed. I don't want them on my team. I would much rather he comes to the Christ at 40, 50 years old. I genuinely, anytime I was alone with him, I would never preach to him. I just said God, the God of Earth evolution is the Christ, and that's all I ever said. I never repeated it. I never wanted him to join. I felt like he's like on shaky grounds with his soul. He doesn't know where the fuck he's going life. And another thing, he doesn't want something that involves ego consciousness. He wants group consciousness. That's why he wants to be around the Muslims so much, and which is sad because how can your religion ever be sexy to someone if they don't want to be alone? They want to be around sweaty Muslims, and that's probably like the biggest turnoff of Christianity is that it's towards ego consciousness. Solo player. It's not towards group player as much as people want to say it's group player. It's not, and that's why it gets. No matter how you slice it, it's always going to look like a lot more lonely of a energy than to be around some sweaty goat fuckers. That's the truth. But it's also kind of embarrassing to say, you're going backwards in consciousness, right? And it's not even going to fully fit. Like, I have a feeling the Muslims are going to turn on Sneeko and expunge him. They're going to pitchfork him. And do I want Sneeko on the Christian side? No, because he has a problem with like white people, and he no matter how much he says he doesn't see it that way, he associates that with the Christ force. And it's like, that's not normal. You know, like Myron doesn't have a problem with white people. It's like, that's a you thing. And psychologically speaking, this thing only has one flaw really, and that he has a lot of evil, like pure evil, where you can see it when he's talking about Indians. You can see it when he's talking about certain things he doesn't like. And like in a weird way, when Zerka insults Muslims, it's kind of like a group hug too. Like it's kind of like me helping them towards their evolution. But when Sneeko does it, it's very different than when Nick does it or Myron. He does it when he goes after a group of people, he's doing it like in his head, he's fantasizing about turning the knife in their stomach. Um, and there's evil in Sneeko's eyes too, in a weird, not all the time, but he has 1 hour of the day where he thinks he's Genghis Khan or something. He gets possessed by something, so you can see some dark circles under his eyes,
Did you,
some
Zerka? Did you
darkness.
see my photo?
Mm.
You commented on one of my like my before and after. Like when I was a Muslim, I had like those dark circles under my eyes, and
Oh,
then
that
like
was you.
yeah, that's me. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. You can tell like it's definitely something spiritual. Like you can see it in the eyes, and Jesus says, the eyes are the windows of the soul, and if you've got darkness in you, it's going to show it in your eyes. And
Yeah,
you can see that in Sneaker and like all these other Muslim guys. Like they've got this rage,
yeah,
bloodthirsty. Like as much as like they appear righteous outwardly, but in the inside, there's like so much evil. Like they want to do this Sharia law stuff, take over the world, and subjugate Christians. Because that's what I think Islam is here in the first place. It's just to destroy Christianity and to have them
Wait.
humiliated.
Can I chime in on this?
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious. Okay, so
Make it good content. Tell him, no, I disagree, bro.
no, this guy's ancestors converted mine. He's Turkish, isn't he? Are you Turkish? Yeah, you're Turkish.
Yeah, look, I'm
I'm
Turkish, but
Bosnian.
born
Yeah,
in
I'm
born in.
Bosnian. So you fuckers. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm curious. So like, Christ is God. Why would he create 2 billion plus Muslims? Like, make it make sense.
Yeah, it's really easy. If you ask a modern Christian, they'll say something like, "Well, everyone stuck on an island has been gifted scripture," and that's actually wrong, right? If you look into the esoteric aspects of Christology, a Muslim has to remain a Muslim. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings, Christian. A Buddhist has to remain a Buddhist. And depending on where you incarnated, that is your moral framework for your evolution. You chose that because it's the most beneficial to you. That's why you defend it so hard instinctually. Now, in the future, which one is the highest level? If all these pieces towards God are somewhat of like guardrails of how the soul evolves, which one has, the most pieces, or let's say the total answer? The total answer would be the one at the highest level of the pyramid of consciousness, which is Christianity. So that's why your people, Bosnians, Albanians, whatever, are more primitive than Germans. That's just how the game works. And a lot of people are like, well, this sounds like soul science is racist. It's not. For example, why is Zerka not a racist? Like, does Zerka genuinely want the worst for black people? No, because Zerka knows he can be incarnated if he wants a certain skill set as a black guy in the future. And if black people have major problems in the future, Zerka's incarnation is going to suck. That's why you want every color to do good in society. How do you get every color to do good in society? Let the white man lead because he's at the highest level of consciousness. That's how it's always been. In ancient Indian times, we'd let Indians lead so we'd get the new fucking power ups, the clairvoyant power ups. And this has been talked about by many people, although it always turns into white man bootlicking. And I'm not saying it's a white man bootlicking thing. There's a lot of white people who are fucking their cousins. There's a lot of, those kind of people in trailer parks. But I'm talking about the highest levels of consciousness, though, which are not really the Christians. It's going to be the atheists again, right? Or it's going to be mobilized Christians who are not really preachy. But if you look at the pyramid, what's under, let's say, the atheist for the religious people on earth? Yes, Christians are at a much higher level of consciousness than Muslim people. And that's not something that you should ever be like, well, let me see Dr. Steiner's work to understand this. You should know this by opening your fucking eyes, you idiot. You should open your eyes and say, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Right?
No,
And
I agree with you because like you were saying earlier, it has like the freedom consciousness, like Christianity does have that, which kind of like makes me gravitate towards it. Since I grew up in the West, I'm living like a free lifestyle versus somebody that's like growing up, fucking Pakistan. I don't know. I feel like they're more stuck. They're trapped in that consciousness where they don't have the freedom.
Yeah, and it's not just humans. There's also animals are at different layers of consciousness, and then it goes into sub, which is unconsciousness. Animals who are pretty much unconscious, right? There's so many of these layers. Now, check this out. Why it's super dangerous to be racist, and why the Lord hates racism, is because some people have head starts and others don't, depending on the age, like what you've gone through, certain experiences you've had. Like, for example, at the end of all this, when you're at the end of all the self-remembering journey of evolution, when humans are like godlike in power, they would find everything Zerka talks about right now in this period of the timeline, 2026, they would find me to be a demon, because they'd say, oh, Zerka still divided people on race. But yeah, at the end of the timeline, that's how it works. At this part of the timeline, you got to divide people. If Zerka held a conference with just Muslims to talk about this, they'd fucking kill me with pitchforks. Obviously, to stay alive in the incarnation, I have to talk like this, where I go, I'm not going to do a Muslim meet and greet. I think that's a horrible idea, actually. And why does Zerka even add the racial remarks to his free speech channel? It's just so you guys can all be shocked when Zerka's the only channel that's not pro-war. You go, that guy's so filled with war. He'll fight on the streets. He'll do whatever. Why is he telling me to be anti-war right now? Oh, because he actually wants to evolve my soul. He actually understands his karmic effect. He's not just winging it. And a lot of you guys are going to realize that, yes, Nick, as much as Nick has many reasons why he's anti war, something he can never tell you about because he's just too young to understand this is, and I mean like spiritually young, I'm saying Nick doesn't realize the real reason he's anti war, anti Jew war hawk agendas for the Middle Eastern wars. The real reason is because Nick has a moral core to him that won't him, he'll justify it and say, I love war, but this is the reason I'm against this one, and it's the Jews. And he'll justify it in a million ways, but the truth is, he's a moral character on earth. And Myron is anti-war. That's a moral human being on earth. Sneeko is moral right now, although a few weeks ago he was sounding a lot different, right? Or if Muslims came into power by let's say by sword, Sneeko would be all for it if his side is winning. Whereas if Zerka's side's winning, Zerka would still say war is wrong, right? And people would be like, well, it's because you incarnated in a war zone. And no, that's not the real reason. The real reason is some people are more in tune with their souls and others are more in tune with their personalities. And by the way, all those personalities that you have that form into one eventually has to fuse with your inner soul. Like the outer and the inner is the same, and they cannot be contradicting each other, because you will, by the end of it, you will lose your fucking soul doing that. The marks you make on your subtle energy body when you take a firm stance against war, these are the most important soul marks you can make. And if you don't know what I mean by soul marks, is look at a human's face. You can see what they think about. Have you seen those channels that talk about psycho-spiritual health and wisdom, and you laugh at them? You go, well, how come Zerka, the whole internet loves when he talks about it, but when other people talk about it, it's cringe. And it's because their facial features don't match their soul. Basically, you can see through their facial features what they think about. If someone looks very goofy on the face, you definitely don't want to trust that person for any kind of wise advice, because you can see their face hasn't rested in any kind of pain, any kind of crystallized suffering. You can see that their face is not a wise face, right? It's kind of like when you see monkey traits on a face, and big bug eyes and all that, and you go, I don't trust this guy for this stuff, but when he plays Minecraft, he's very funny. I can trust him for his Minecraft content, and it's kind of like if Zerka's laughing all the time, his face would change. It would literally change into a more jester, joker like face. The lines on your face show to people what you think about constantly. And so how can you trust someone? How can you trust someone? For example, if someone has a really evil looking face, not that you should judge them, but they also have evil tendencies and they speak in an evil way, you can see it from the face, but you probably had a feeling before they even opened up that fucking mug. And so if you see someone's face is rested in something goofy energy, chances are they think of goofy things all the time. If you see someone's face, like a Zherka can talk about perverted things all day and he doesn't have a pervert face. Why doesn't he? It's because he doesn't think of perverted things and he doesn't actually chase the women. If he does, it's for content, it's for other reasons, but he doesn't occupy himself with women at all. You could see it in Zherka's face. Now, if you look at Heel Mike's face, you can see he only thinks about women. And it's like not a bad thing. He's in a phase of his life or whatever, but you can see people's faces change shape with what they think about all day. And it takes not months, it takes years, but it gets carved into the face. That's why some people look like shaman leaders. You want to hit follow on them. Other people look like jesters who are just chasing tail. You're like, oh, you know what? This is too much girl content, whatever. And believe it or not, everyone you meet in life, you're judging them off their soul, their face, right? It's not the best thing to do if you're a paranoid fucking schizophrenic, but it's also kind of like, not to shit on my dad here, but Alex Jones. Look at his face. You can tell that that's not an honest face. I'm not saying that he's lying. I'm just saying that he's speaking before verifying the fucking truth. And that, remember, when you lie a lot, that it looks like a pent up thing, like a pent up face, like a constipated face. Same with the sleepy eyes phenomenon. You meet a lot of wise people who have that sleepy eye look, that almost like that stoner look. And you walk around, follow them around. You want them like as a big bro, and you want to be around them. They got that sleepy look, meaning they're really been traumatized by how their thinking's developed, how their consciousness is going. And but you know that they've gone far, far ass places in their thinking, and you try and get the truth out of them and they never give it to you. Those sleepy-eyed motherfuckers will never give it to you. Have you ever noticed that? And because they want you to get there yourself, or else there's no point to it. There's also guys who have you seen Sneeko? When he thinks of anything warlike, he turns into us versus them right in the face. Is very different than when Nick is talking about us and them, right? And I'm talking about degrees, that, there's degrees of evil, and Stinko can go to very dark places. He's a very dark incarnation, very low levels of dark, excuse me, high levels of dark, but where it's like, I'm not talking about like genius, dark scientist, evil. I'm talking about like he can easily be manipulated, like to the point where he's more dangerous than a nuclear weapon. He's super dangerous to the youth. Yeah, the way Sneeko's trajectory has been the last 2 years compared to Myron or Nick, it's shocking how much Myron and Nick have matured, right? Where Myron's actually the fun channel for Jews. A lot of Jews watch the channel, him dancing and all that, and it's a fun thing. It's not hate filled, even though it's very easy to go that way. It's really not. And then Sneakos is something about power. Something happened to him as a kid. Is very like taking you to hell, but not in a he's snaking you kind of way. In a he's already there himself. Like you can tell Sneakos in
Yo,
hell.
yo, Zerka.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
met
What's
I
up?
met Sneeko 2 summers ago. What was your first impression of him? Because I only met him for a couple minutes, and I thought he was pretty nice and genuine. But then again, only a couple minutes. So what the fuck do I know, right?
Yeah, I remember meeting him with Arab and Yassine, and they were being treated really poorly by him. But I didn't know that at the time until they told me later, like that he was. I guess he's a bigger YouTube channel or whatever. But I just walked in, and back then I was doing my push-ups and shit. And Sneeko looked up at me. He's like, "How the fuck are you jacked as fuck if you don't work out?" And back then, I guess I was a little more jacked, although not really compared to the good old days. No, it was like computer jacked. It was like we were doing some push-ups and streaming. But I just remember Sneeko own the first second he saw me was, oh, this guy's taller than me. I think we're the same height, but he feels that. He feels like, oh, this guy's taller than me and more jacked, more heavy. And his first thing was an outer thing. He didn't look right into me. He looked at the external too much, right? And for me, I was going through a breakup, so I ignored Sneeko. I was like, what up, man? And I ignored him. I kind of got through the content, like, let's get this over with. And I was dealing with a breakup, and I put it on the TV, She was like, had her mom, she had her mom on the screen and all that. And Sneeko, Arab, and Yassine and me were watching me go through the breakup. So all three of the boys could tell that my heart's not really into the content thing. I was going through my own kind of phase in life. And so my energy was more like ignoring them. I had a war with this bitch. If she's trying to fucking leak me, I'll leak her, shit like that. It was just like high school shit. And which is the greatest way to meet Sneeko, because if you ever meet Sneeko and ignore him, he becomes your best friend. And I'm ignoring him for this fucking chick that's lying about me online. And I was like, bro, I don't want to do fucking YouTube with you guys. I want to respond to this bitch on my shit. And they're like, dude, do that after, do that after. And obviously, I want to defend my name because Twitch admin's going to ban me quickly. And she's saying, oh, he abuses me. He says this about me, but I'm going to meet him. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. And so I ignore the fuck out of Sneeko. And I don't ignore Yassine or Arab because I knew them, right? So they're a part of my life a bit from the TwitchCon. And I totally forgot that I ignored him. You know, it was like a rude thing. But he would have, anyone going through that much drama would have ignored the fucking Sneeko in the room too. Like, come on, like he just walks in. You would ignore it too if someone's trying to get you banned off Twitch, right? You would be hyper focused on what is this bitch lying about? What's the tweet I'm gonna use to defend my name and shit like that. And we were, you know, Yassine's helping me and all that. And then I just do the favor because you know Yassine's like, hey man, Sneeko came here, he needs you to do some content. I was like, all right, let's go do the favor. And the whole energy is this guy's ignoring the fuck on me. This guy doesn't give a fuck about me, and I just got banned. So I guess Sneeko saw me as a really cool guy because he loves people who don't like him. He's one of those weirdos who, like, if I meet you, you don't like me, I don't fuck with you at all. But Sneeko's those kind of people that if you meet him and you don't fuck with him, he goes, wow, you are like a mystery, bro, or some shit like that. And I pick up the chicks, and this is all external too. He's floored, he's shocked by it. Like that I picked those two girls up, I put them on their knees, and he's like, dude, they're blondes and and I'm so used to that. And then I go back to my drama, and he's shocked by it. And I remember making a mental note where I'm like, why is the most important thing in this guy's life women? Like, because at that point in my life it was more content oriented, so I was like, they respect this guy's been in the YouTube game for a while, we can learn stuff. And his was all about women because he's bored of the YouTube game by then. And I remember thinking, it's all external, he doesn't know anything internal about me, it's just what he saw on the outside, picking up chicks, all this shit. And then I got to read that this is all he cares about, and that's what makes him successful. And you know, you meet a lot of like characters. Like I like Logan Paul a lot, but you meet a lot of the guys at the top, they're really about the external, how things appear, not the internal. They're not going to do a deep dive analysis. They're not like that soul. They're not about soul science or any of that, right? Which is how you stay guarded in the world. And I still remember thinking like, Sneeko reminds me of like this, if you could have a twin brother incarnate with you, that he reminds me of like a twin brother that went into a different universe. He went, you know, he went a total different direction, but he was so fucking into the red pill and in a fanatical way. Like he had that look of that ISIS look in his eyes. And because I still remember he found my opinion so fucking mystifying. Like, well, why do you think that? Or why this? Why? And it was all off camera too. So I'm like, oh, this guy's like, maybe he's one of those gay Zoomers who are like new to the red pill and he's rabbit holing it fast. And I saw so much potential in that because I back then I didn't think people transform. You know, I was so new to this, so I didn't think people have. You know, have you noticed like streamers have many? You watch Zherka for the last 7 years, you know what you're getting, but you watch streamers and you don't know if they're in a like red pill, purple pill, blue pill. You don't know what. You didn't know that they transform, and you're supposed to transform for the clickbait and shit. So I didn't think he transformed that rapidly. But man, I've had many of my buddies transform. It's not the worst thing in the world when they go their own way. But he went to sweaty Arabs and these same kind of Arabs that like clown this guy. And dude, my whole fan base is like, well, can you make it work? And I'm like, dude, if this guy understood, if this guy ever read a book, if this guy ever experienced any part of the world, if this guy has ever done anything that involves truth, he would know he's going down the darkest rabbit hole. Could you imagine a worse rabbit hole than Islam? Like, there's the worst one. It's so bad that rockets hit Iran, dude. Imagine being a part of that IOT. Dude, imagine being a part of that. And Iran was like peaceful. They're not doing shit for like many years. They're just chilling and they still got rocketed because they build up such negative karma, right? Not that you should ever try and see the world as good and bad karma. You're not God. You're not supposed to ever play that role, right? The Christ is the Lord of karma. You should never think, oh, Iran got hit, so they have bad karma. But yes, it's this these spiritual wars are not random. They're driven by impulses and spirits and thoughts like that. So it's like I guarantee you that in a year, Sneaker will be in over his head so hard with this Islamic shit that we gotta pray for the guy because he's gonna put himself in danger. And it's like I never thought he'd be the largest channel. It felt like Sasuke and Naruto. It felt like Sasuke and Naruto. I'm like, wait a minute. My whole channel is to defend against these stupid goat fuckers, and my good friend that I came up with, Sneeko, is on the other side. He's like the Senju clan, and we're the Uchiha. And it's like, wait a minute. I built the Frankenstein's monster. Like I emboldened it, although Tate is really to blame, right? Tate, Nick's friend, Tate. Like, what the fuck? We should have never been friends with that fucking bald clown. But I guess it's smart because he has a lot of followers. I guess it's smart to play it like that. But I'm just saying, he's just done so much evil with that Sony and stuff. And then Sony starts going, well, my YouTube channel is not growing. So if I become a radical meme, it'll grow if I'm a radical white meme. And so he goes down that path where he thinks that he's getting likes by sweaty Arab guys. So therefore he has clout. Remember, if you get a lot of likes on your tweet, because of your being yourself, because you're being yourself, that's super attractive. Everyone goes, damn, he has a whole community. But if you're getting a lot of likes because you're like parroting talking points from like an Islamic regime, you're a propagandist. No one respects you, especially the people liking your shit. And I think Sonny's like in a weird place where he needs the likes, like he needs to be like the ratio king. He needs to have the lower levels of consciousness in his corner, which is crazy. But man, they picked there's so many. I think the transgender rabbit hole is easier to get out of than
Okay,
the
but
Islamic one.
Sonny and Sneeko are very different. But Sneeko often talks about like God can't die, God can't be tempted. Jesus was a man. So like, how do you respond to that? Like, how is Jesus God argument?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I always refer to all true Christology. Do the research in a way where no one can take the truth from you. So, for example, the truth is an inward experience. When I refer you guys to Dr. Steiner's Christology and say, go enter your self remembering journey right there and really dig into it. How can just go start with ChatGPT? Just start with ChatGPT. Say,
Wait,
Dr.
Rudolf Steiner?
Yes,
Okay,
if
I'll look into it.
you go right into his Christology and you say, "Answer me, how can God die?" And every single answer, not that it'll make sense to you, but every single answer will always be that you have to. It has to be an inward experience that one day you will understand it. One day you will meditate and self-remember to this point. All of it is on you. It should never be on Zherka to explain how does God die. But when you understand that the Christ dying, that in the spiritual world, everything is different. There is no physical might. There's no physical might. There's no body to be, this is my bicep is stronger than yours. It's not matter, it's spiritual. Meaning, the strongest thing you can do in the spiritual world is sacrifice, is die. That is the strongest, highest power level. That is divinity. That is the highest thing you can do. We're not even at the resurrection part, right? And a lot of humans confuse it because they talk about might being a bench press. Yes, on earth, who benches the most is the strong one. But in the spiritual world, it's who sacrifices the most. That is not just the strongest individuality, that is the only individuality because you all have to sacrifice yourselves eventually. You can't, it's like the thing of Muslims don't actually answer the death question at all. And the Christ says, hey, just like how you are driven around by, hey, one day I'm going to die, the Christ has done it before you. As in, it is your story. You get to enter into this story as well. And all these other religions, they don't dare talk about death. They give you vague, stupid shit. They don't tell you that your soul has to become something you sacrifice as an offering. They don't tell you none of that. They don't tell, for example, they asked Steiner, why does the soul desire this? I want this, I want that. All desires must become the opposite of a desire. It must become an offering. Every desire you have eventually has to transform into an offering. That doesn't mean you run from it in the beginning if you have a desire to play football, but it must become a love offering. Like Ronaldo desired playing football. Now he's at the point where his desire transforms into offering. He offers his skill set to his children, right? He like passes it on and they go enter higher levels of ego consciousness with this loving principle where it's like you're passing it on. Same with Khabib training. He's now a trainer, but he used to love fighting, right? And then now his desire turned into an offering that he's offering that skill set to his team that he's training. Everything you do is going to evolve in this way, but ultimately it's going to be you're going to tap out of earth, you're going to die. And when you die, it has to be a part of the Christian mysteries. It cannot be no Islamic shit, cannot be no Buddhist shit. That's why we all, as men, fantasize of going out by sacrificing ourselves for our friends and family. Like everyone has that fantasy, right? You just get blasted inside of a church protecting a child. Everyone has that fantasy. Why? Why does everyone have that fantasies, that desire that transforms into sacrifice, right? Into offering, that's being fulfilled at the highest archetypal level in that fantasy. Now it's different for everyone because, for example, a golfer, a tennis player, an army guy, and surgeon, they all have different sacrifices they're gonna make. So every, a lot of people try and ask me, well, what should I do with my life? And it's like, dude, you have to self-remember what you're supposed to do. I can't self-remember for you, you fucking idiot. Right. And or you could do like, for example, a lot of people don't realize, Gary, as dumb as you guys think he is and all that, he actually is doing what he incarnated to do. Like the numbers, he is loving thought, or his Swedenborg would call this his love is numbers. And so you don't dare take that love from him, right? Especially a part of the Christian mysteries. It's like if someone has a love of football, you don't dare take that ball from that child. If someone has a love for something, the number one Christian rule is you don't dare take numerology away from Gary. Now, it is bad if he's like misleading people, but I'm saying Gary's love for numbers when he's alone in his room, that is Christianity in its totality, where it's like you don't tell a young Gary to not be obsessed with numbers. Same with Epstein. He loved numbers, right? I'm saying your love in private cannot be taken from you, and the love can change. You have love for other things, but you look into Swedenborg's writing, right? Your love at your current moment is connected to your faith, right? It's your everything. Like a young Zherka's love for Dragon Ball. I know a lot of people get angry with this. They're like, why always Dragon Ball? And it's like, well, I don't know. What did you grow up? Some of you guys grew up with Power Rangers. Like mine is Dragon Ball. And I don't mean just Dragon Ball. I mean, mine is Dragon Ball to the point where it's philosophical, where my adult brain is into Dragon Ball more than my child brain, which it's almost impossible to say that because if you ever see a child's eyes watching Dragon Ball, and because you're really constructing what your future is going to look like, and you need those archetypal energies. Like, for example, the love a man has for Vegeta is mediated by the Christ force. So your love of skateboarding is a Christian love, even if you're an atheist, right? That's why God is called love and life. If Tony Hawk says, hey, I'm on here to skateboard and I can't tell you why I do it, I love to do it. Well, he's telling you he spent 40, 50, 60 years of his life with loving thought forms freely skateboarding. He's telling you what his life is. Why is Jesus Christ called the life? Because anything you love that becomes your life is your path, you fucking idiot. And I feel like Nick is the only one to understand this, where they're like, you should have become a priest. And he said, I love politics. And what was he saying there? That my life will be politics. My Christ will be politics. And Nick could even he even says he could sacrifice himself for his love. Mossad could kill him for it, right? Which is fulfilling the mysteries totally, right? Not that knock on wood, that should not happen. I always got to knock on wood for no one else but Nick. But I'm telling you guys that when you say, "Oh, I hate my life," you're really saying you hate the Christ, right? You guys don't realize your words. You don't realize what you're doing in the world. And your love, whatever it is. Some people say, "Well, what about World of Warcraft?" Zherka, I love it. And it's like, no, you don't, because you didn't get anything from it. You can tell someone loves it because it pays back. There's World of Warcraft channels who they loved it so much, but they couldn't go pro. But they started talking about it on YouTube and they have 10 million subscribers. Do you see how they loved World of Warcraft? That's why it comes out as 10 million. You don't just listen to someone talk about a game for no reason. He loves the game the most. That's why he gets all the views, right? And you're going to see that for a lot of things. You're going to be like, whoa, what the fuck? So then God is just giving people infinite levels of blessings all the time as they're evolving towards the light. And it never ends, where you can always get more blessings. There's higher revelation always. Yes, even beyond the stars, even when you don't look human anymore, when you start to look like something else. Even when you start to look like an Atlantean, it keeps going. That's the whole point of it. The whole point of it is about meaning. It's connected to love, where you don't realize the blessings a human can get because you think of it as a human blessing another human. And it's not, that is not what's happening. You know, you could bless someone, you could love someone. You will never bless someone or love someone the way God does the game. The game that God does is very different from the way, like for you, it's like, oh, I bought this guy a Ferrari because I loved him. That is not divine love. Divine love is not only does he get the Ferrari, but he gets infinite worlds of just succession and progression towards higher thought forms that build flying Ferraris. It just keeps evolving and it spirals into a higher octave. So a lot of people are like, if it spirals, can't you get bored of it? It's like, no, you could get bored of it if it was spiraling, but it's at a higher octave every single time, right? That's why you didn't get bored of Super Saiyan 1. Even when it became Super Saiyan 2, it became more awesome. Then Super Saiyan 3, and so on. And you're like, well, it's got to get boring after 3. And you know, we hate GT, but holy shit, is Super Saiyan 4 badass. And well, it's got to end there. It's not like they could just change the color. And no, we love Super Saiyan God blue. We love red first, then blue. And it's so on. And when Goku comes out with a rainbow aura, new transformation in 10 years from now, we're gonna love that too. Because we talk shit about Ultra Instinct, not the first one, but not signed, but the mastered. But we love that too. We just keep loving things, unless you're those bitter people that, you know, like I say, a real Dragon Ball fan says Super Saiyan 1 is always going to be the most badass form. That's, if you're a real fan, the Super Saiyan 4, and if you're a true fan, Kaioken's even cooler. In a weird or a false Super Saiyan in the Lord Slug movie is just so badass, right? But if you're a real fan, you also want your children being a part of it, and children need the blue and the red forms and the new shit and the Jirens and all that. So you want to spread that love. And people don't realize, they're like, well, Zerka, isn't this kind of hippie that it just never ends and this loving architecture has to just keep growing? And it's like, you know, you'd be shocked if you lived my life, because you'd be like, dude, he has everything. But there's still more to Zerka. Like, what the fuck? And it's like, you can close yourself off from blessings too. Did you know most Muslims they close themselves off, bro? They look at Chinese people who are very spiritual, even though they're atheists. They live in quiet homes. They're in a meditative state all day, even when they're working. They're higher levels of consciousness. They get a lot of things done. Dude, I'm telling you, don't think you're born into, if you're born in some Islamic country and you listen to this, just go to the further steps of ego consciousness. Don't get stuck down there.
Yo, John, about that, I was thinking a lot of your content is based on individuation, and if you come from a group that's not all that religious, how does their what's it called? Their the group collective unconscious affect you in your individuation process?
Well, it depends. Are you talking about Swedish people?
No, like I mean, I'm Albanian. Let's say
Yeah.
Albanian.
Albanian. So what? A lot of people say that's like a Muslim place. Although if you ask an Albanian guy, they'll say they're not really religious at all.
Yeah, I mean, we're not like a religious people all that much, but like,
Yeah. So what it becomes about folklore and more gossip in the town of what's going on. It becomes more tribal like that. You guys talk about the money and all the like lower level consciousness things. We talk about that. So especially me when I'm back home, I hear people talk about the businesses and who made money and who did this, and it's like there's nothing. If you're popping out into ego consciousness, you're going to have this disdain, almost like you find your people to be kind of not beautiful anymore to you, because it's like, oh, they really just want to drink their tea and gossip all day. And you see this with a lot of humans just grow up one day, and they 21 years old, they go, I don't really like where I'm from. It seems like everyone's like, they think backwards, they're into stuff that I'm not into. That's a lonely thing to experience, man. Because bro, once you're at that level of consciousness, people are like, oh, this is so cool. Now I get to do what Zherka did. No,